One last tighten of the saddle. Because she bloats. So I bring her to where I'm going to mount her and then I tighten her. Gained a little weight in my years. I'm not the best mounter, but I can do it. Woo. Okay. I see today I got a little bumper spur on with Sunny. That's because I didn't take it off yesterday after working with Dolly. It's hot up here. But the last time, I think Sunny wasn't quite as responsive as I wanted her to be. Now the first thing you do is your lateral flexion under saddle. Toes in the stirrups, making sure your saddle's tight and got a good fit to it. Slide your hand down. You bring them up even. Bring the reins up even. Slide your hand down. Bring the horse's head around. And hold it. Now, if Sunny doesn't give, most horses will give. I don't really know what I'm going to do because this is going to be required in teaching her lateral flexion. So any little bit of softness, I'm going to immediately give it back to her. Okay. She's just so perfectly happy to just stand here and fall asleep. That's why she's a great grandkid horse. She's very mild-mannered. Come on, you got to learn to bend. And the reason that we need to ask a little bit more than they're willing to give is because that's what's going to flex their muscles. Woo, that was a good soften. Did you see her move her nose? She immediately got released for that because that was just so good that she so willfully gave to that pressure and yielded and softened herself. And she did it again. So over there at lunging, she got it a couple times and then she didn't get it other times. Slide your hand down, pull her nose around. Eventually you're going to get to where her nose can hit your boot or your knee. See, she's not flexible yet. She can't even come to my knee. She's going to try to get out of this. If they try to get out of it, you don't let them get out of it. That's why you plant your hand. Because if you give them release without them giving into the pressure, then you've rewarded their leaning on it. And that's what a lot of people do with high-headed horses. They reward the horse for leaning on the bit instead of rewarding the horse for giving into the bit. There. She gave me her nose a little, so I softened. And I hope she's getting the message. But you got to remember, she is 28 years old. So I don't know if I'm going to have the success with her that I've had with Dolly. This is a trial and error for me, and y'all get to watch me, and I'm going to show it, the good, the bad, the ugly. Not that I won't clip some things out, but the purpose is going to get my grandkid to be able to really ride her on the loose rein, which he does now, but she paces. Okay, she's going to try to get out of it. She's thinking about trying to get out of it. And what I want her to do is not think about getting out of it with her feet, but think about getting out of it with her head, like she just did. She yielded, she got out of it, okay? And I think that's 4. I'm going to do one more time. Pull her around. She's really resisting. And there. So happy. And look, as a natural occurrence, her whole pole is beginning to lower. I mean, this happens quickly. It's not something that takes like, you know, a year to get your horse to bend their pole. It's a natural occurrence of lateral flexion. And doing this standing still is no different than doing it riding. I do it riding too when I do serpentines. And I do it riding when I start teaching them to bend into the arc. I should turn around. A step doesn't get her out of it. Okay, a yield gets her out of it. She gave me her head, so I'm going to just try to turn her around here. Until you've taught a horse to ride without reins, there really is something to reins. I can't just take her bridle off and do everything I'm doing. She's not trained for that yet. I don't know if I'm going to train her for that. Pulling her nose around. The only thing making her hotter right now is just standing here in equipment, so we'll be done pretty quickly today. I just need a little hint from her that she's giving to it. She's far better on the right side than she is on the left, and that was the same thing over there. A horse is always going to have a favorite side, or a more flexible side. Just as gymnasts have a more flexible side. I did left-handed cartwheels and left-handed splits best. I was better at everything left-handed. But the coach made us do it both ways, so that we weren't only flexible on one side. She still hasn't given or yielded at all to it, so I'm going to ask a little more. I'm going to ask to the point that she feels like she needs to get out of it. One thing I don't want to do is pull that snaffle bit through. See, she thinks I just want her to stand here like this. She doesn't realize that I want her to try to get away from the pressure. And she's, okay, there was a little bit. She's so happy just to stand in whatever position I ask. I'm going to do one more, but you should do at least 5 a day, maybe 10, 20. The more you do, the more flexible your horse will get. Okay, and there she gave to me. I mean, it was just a smidgen. It was hardly any. But, you know, you need to have your horse starting to get some flexibility in the neck before you start teaching some of these other exercises. So it's important that I've waited a couple days to start that. She's still not where I'd like her to be, but one of the next things that you want to do to get a horse to respond to you under saddle with just light pressure, once you've got them flexing, you bend their nose around and you ask for a movement of the hindquarters. And as soon as you give the cue for the movement of the hindquarters, you keep giving it until they move. When they give you their hindquarters, then you release. Okay, release. Okay, I gave her hindquarters. Now that's when you first start teaching them. You pull their nose around and then tap the hindquarters and they give them to you and you release. Okay, and then when you've worked on that and they've got the message of what you want, you can begin asking for the hindquarters until they stop. Until you stop giving the cue. They're going to give you the hindquarters until you stop giving the cue. You stop giving the cue when you take your legs off. You take the pressure off the sides. So I stayed like this so y'all could see me take the pressure off the sides. Do it this way. This is helping her flexibility. It's making her bend her neck. It's making her yield her hindquarters, and she's in a nice arch. My hand is to my hip. Okay, and release. My legs come off. The pressure comes off, and she's told to stand still. So you do that a lot, the hindquarters yielding.